Top 5 Crazy Examples of Social Distancing Gone Wrong. According to the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, COVID-19 spreads mainly among people who are in close contact, within about 6 feet, for a prolonged period. Unfortunately, some people are not down with the whole 6 feet apart rule. Sadly, some hate it so much that the mere polite attempt to enforce it sends them into a fit of rage. The following are 5 crazy examples of social distancing gone wrong. Number 5. Crazed couple assaults Hasidic Jews. During the COVID-19 pandemic, some countries have come up with very novel and technologically advanced ways to enforce social distancing guidelines. In Singapore, for example, they have hired a robot dog, developed by Boston Dynamics, named Spot to patrol park areas and, using a polite but firm female voice, to tell citizens, "Let's keep Singapore healthy. For your own safety, and for those around you, please stand at least 1 meter apart. Thank you." What do you do if you don't have a robot dog available in your area to remind people to practice social distancing? Well, you definitely don't do what a couple in Brooklyn, New York did back in early May. Deputizing themselves as social distancing officers, Paul and Clelia Pinho, aka Kevin and Karen, then immediately went all out bonkers. While driving in Brooklyn one Sunday night, Paul and Clelia spotted a large group of Hasidic Jews gathered together outside. The couple immediately stopped their vehicle, jumped out and rushed towards them. They hurled anti-Semitic insults at them, saying, "You're the reason why we're getting sick." Paul called the cops and then, not content to wait for the authorities to sort this all out, tried to rip off the masks of 3 of the Hasidic men. That triggered a fight. The couple was then subdued by a volunteer watch group named Shomrim Patrol. They held the attacking couple until the police arrived. The couple was taken to hospital where Paul received treatment for an injury to his arm. His wife was treated for minor injuries. Number 4. Kissing bandit calls cops on bar. While the reasons behind some citizen attempts to police social distancing at least have a bit of logic going for them, the same cannot be said for a Florida woman named Audra Adams. The Monkey Bar and Grill in Indialantic was the scene of this very curious, self-defeating case of social distancing gone wrong. Upset that the bar was not practicing coronavirus social distancing guidelines, Adams called the police not 1 time, not 2 times, but 5 times. The weird part of it all was that Adams, herself, was repeatedly trying to kiss other bar patrons. The bar's owner told police that Adams' repeated attempts to lay a smooch on every stranger within reach was, no surprise here, not going down well. After a few complaints, he asked her to leave. Adams eventually did exit the bar, but refused to leave the parking lot, saying, "I'll sit in the parking lot all night." Police ended up arresting her for disorderly conduct, resisting an officer without violence and for misusing the 911 system. Number 3. Triggered man pulls out gun. Who knew that forming a line could be so fraught with tension these days? Waiting in line is just a fact of life. Everybody, at one time or another, has to do it, and even on a good day it isn't exactly a blast. But, wait, we do. During the COVID-19 pandemic, waiting in line has introduced another wrinkle: social distancing. For one man, that was one wrinkle too much. While waiting in a line outside Citizens Bank in Boston, in early May of this year, Ricardo Pantojas, 40, was, apparently, too close to another customer waiting in that same line. The other customer asked Ricardo to back away and adhere to social distancing guidelines. Ricardo had other ideas. When asked to move away, the male suspect, refusing to practice social distancing and adhere to the line restrictions, brandished a firearm and pointed it in the direction of the victims, police said. Before police arrived, The male suspect and a female accomplice jumped into a motor vehicle and fled the scene. Police later tracked down the couple. When they searched their car, they found a Versa .380 semi-automatic. The police hit Riccardo with a number of charges, including carrying a loaded firearm on a public way. Number 2. Doctor diagnosed with short temper. Among the groups of people who have emerged as heroes during the COVID-19 pandemic, medical workers are likely the most deserving of that distinction. Though under threat of being infected themselves, by the very patients they treat, their vital work has inspired a tremendous outpouring of gratitude from the public as well as countless news items documenting their bravery. One doctor who will definitely not receive any glowing write-ups anytime soon is Dr. John Rademacher, 57, of Prospect, Kentucky. And it was all captured on video. In the first few seconds, we see a verbal confrontation between two groups of people, an older man and a woman and several younger women. One of the young women can be heard saying, "Yeah, we're leaving. Please, let's not cuss at each other." Then, a few seconds later, the same young woman says, "No, I'm not calling you anything, sir, just don't talk to us with dash." That's when she's cut off by Dr. Rademacher, who points a finger at a girl off screen and says, "This bleep girl right here." He then approaches the young women as the camera follows. Just as one of the young women says, "Do not touch," he does, shoving a few of them. From there, all hell breaks loose as Dr. Rademacher approaches another young woman who is lying on the ground. Suddenly, he drops down and, according to reports, he then grabbed her neck. Panicked, the young women began screaming and yelling. Incredibly, within seconds, a simple social distancing squabble had turned into a violent attack. In the aftermath, Dr. Rademacher was charged with first-degree strangulation and 3 counts of harassment with physical contact. The organization of which he was a part, the Southern Indiana Anesthesia Consultants, placed him on leave. Then, he voluntarily resigned his position. According to 3 witnesses, the 9 young women had come to the spot to watch the sunset. Number 1. Mask request leads to killing. Social distancing can be enhanced with the wearing of a mask. People who have COVID-19 but don't realize it. That is what happened at a Family Dollar store in Flint, Michigan earlier this year. A security guard, Kelvin Munerlin, 43, was just doing his job when he asked a customer to put on a mask to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Instead of complying, the woman left the store. Her mother, Charmel Teague, and Munerlin then got into a shouting match. That's when Munerlin asked her to leave the store, too. She did. At the time, under an executive order from Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, all retail employees and customers had to wear a mask. 20 minutes later, 2 men came into the store. One was Charmel's husband. He started yelling at Munerlin for disrespecting his wife. The other man then pulled out a gun and shot and killed Munerlin right then and there. Romania Traven Bishop, 23, Larry Edward Teague, 44, and Charmel Teague, 45, were charged with first-degree premeditated murder. Genesee County Prosecutor David Layton summed up the sad situation, saying, "From all indications, Mr. Munerlin was simply doing his job and upholding the governor's executive order related to the COVID-19 pandemic for the safety of store employees and customers." Munerlin's distraught cousin, Tina James, added, "This is senseless. Over a mask. Over a mask? This is not the way to do things right now. We need to come together." A devastating loss for the community. They all came together and held a candlelight vigil in Munerlin's honor. If you think this video is helpful to you, please like and share. If did not subscribe, please subscribe the channel to get update.